Hey guys, welcome to Vouch Infotech, and I am here to demo a code vouch. We have recently launched a new version of a code vouch that is 4.0 and that is having very dynamic feature over a 3.1 version. So in this video, we are covering the .NET API with jQuery UI generation with the code vouch 4.0, that is with the new features with any entity which is having any column naming conventions. So code vouch is very dynamic now. So if you guys have not seen the video of registration, how to register to our portal, then you see the video first and then create your account and just log in. So this is your Viv, and here is the link for code vouch 4.0 beta download. Just hit the link. So it is very small setup. So it will be downloaded in a RAR format. So make sure that you have the WinRAR installed. So it is defaultly downloaded in downloads folder, but I'm creating a new projects folder in D drive so that I can have all consolidated projects in a single folder. So I'm extracting here. I'm choosing the extract here option of the RAR. And then secondly, we have to download a patch for MS SQL and .NET API and jQuery UI. So you can download it via this link. So it has almost 8.6 MB in space. But code vouch 4.0 beta is very dynamic, and 3.1 was static in the table naming conventions and column naming conventions. But 4.0, you can generate code for any SQL table for any column naming convention. So let's see it. This folder is, I think, also downloaded in the downloads. So that will again go and configure that folder in my projects folder only. It's taking a little bit time. So it's downloaded now. So let's go to the folder. It's in downloads. I'll be cutting it and pasting it into a projects folder here. So it will be convenient for me to guide you guys. So I have extracted here. I'm renaming it to project 001. You can give any name that you prefer. And then this is the solution file. That's there. Then all the layers are there: API layer, business logic layer, configuration layer, data access layer, exception, external references, assemblies are there, log layer, model layer. These are the reference SQL script for code product database that we have provided with them. Then the security layer is there. Then UI layer. This is the jQuery UI layer. jQuery HTML pages and JS files are here. And then this is the main solution. You can rename it as you want as per your convenience. I am renaming it as project 001 as the same folder. I am opening it into a Visual Studio. So make sure that you guys have Visual Studio for developing the .NET API projects. So here is the solution. It has the API layer, business logic layer, configuration layer, data access, exception, log, model, security, and the UI. So it's already embedded. You can use set startup project options and choose the multiple startups, because in a single HTML5 UI, only the UI will be popped up, but UI requires the API layer to interact with the database and a code. So I am starting API layer and UI jQuery HTML5 layer. So you can rebuild it. So make sure that your solution is building properly. So 9 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 skipped. So it is building successfully. So you can run it using Control F5 also or F5 also. So this is the API layer that is running on a 30011 port, and you can change the port anyways, but you have to configure that in then the config.js file in the UI layer. So this is the UI. You can use admin and admin as username and password. So if you get in, you will have a simple look of the UI. So you have the 5 menus: dashboards, masters, transaction, reports, and others. So those doesn't have any submenus. So let's log out the same, and we'll see how to generate a code using CodeVouch. So this is the CodeVouch exe. But before that, we'll just create a new database from scratch so that you guys can have idea how to generate a code for a simple table. So we'll take use master, then we'll go for creating the database from scratch. So I'll create database, I'll create a database name test. So I'll use that test and I'll create one table. So create table, let's say customer. So customer will have customer ID or cust ID, we can say. Cust ID will have int data type, then it will be a primary key and it will be an auto increment identity. So then it will have the name, that is a customer name. So it will be, I think, varchar 50, we'll say. Or let's say it should be varchar 10, so that we can have a validation part also we can see on the code generation. That's why I've made it small, very small. So then date of birth as date. Then we can have what we can have is we can have account balance. So it is a simple account, banking account or something like that. Numeric 10.2, and then let's say have the customer is active or not. So one flag for active. So this is active and a bit. So either it will be 0 or 1. This is a simple table I have created. Let's execute the same. So I have executed. This is generated in default DBO schema. So let's run it. So we have the structure. Now let's go to the code generation. Now this is the part that CodeVouch plays. So this is CodeVouch 4.0 beta we have extracted already. You just have to execute this codevouch.exe. So it will execute the new look of the CodeVouch with the various new options. So you just have to use your email ID, which is your web portal login. The same will be applicable here for a CodeVouch login. So this will be the first product, that is my MySQL, .NET API 2 and HTML jQuery UI. So make sure that you will select that first one. Second one is Node.js API, but that will be demonstrated in another video. Make sure that you will have that. So these are the two products, those you can see here. So first one is .NET API. We will select it because we have to generate the .NET API code. We have already downloaded the patch. Then the connection parameters, localhost is my data source, then user ID is my SA user I'm using. Make sure that you will be also using the username or a user that should have the admin access, because we are generating the databases also from CodeVouch and tables procedures also. So here I have given the database name test and connected it using connect refresh button. So database server is connected successfully, and we have the table list. So test.dbo.customer, that table that we have created, all the columns are reflecting. Now the UI part, at the UI path and code path, make sure that you should mention the correct UI path and the correct code path for generating the code. I'll show you which will be the UI path. So in projects, we have downloaded that patch. So this is the total API. So where is the UI jQuery HTML5 is my UI. So go inside it, copy that path, and you check it that UI jQuery HTML5 folder should be there. You can rename it anyways, but make sure that you will have the correct UI path. Then for code path, this is the directory that API layer has and all the other layers are present. So this is the parent directory of the UI layer. So project 001 that we have checked. Then if you want to use the menu controller, or this will be the menu plus user rights plus operations controller. So this will be the database which will be automatically generated if not exist in your database. So I don't want to generate a default code controller. I want to generate a test controller database. Then logging database is my separate database. CodeVouch is using separate database for logging. So you can specify any name. I am specifying it with the test naming conventions so that I can see it in databases properly. So test logger will be the another logger database CodeVouch will automatically create. So I have ticked those options. Now let's go to generate the code, select the table, get columns, and before columns, this is the parent menu selection that will be there in the UI. So if you log in by admin and admin, these are the menus, parent menus, dashboard, masters, transactions, reports, and others. So same menus will be there. You can select here that this screen will be generated under which menu. So I am selecting a customer and masters. So if you have the cust ID, if you are trying to generate a code as it is, it will say that you must specify a unique identifier column. It should be your primary or uniquely identifying column. So cust ID is my unique identifier. So here is the column definition section. So this cust ID is column, the selected. So properties of this cust ID, we have to assign various properties. So I don't want to display that column on a screen. I don't want that in mandatory, though it is mandatory, it has to have a value, but it should not be shown. So it is assumed, CodeVouch will assume that it is mandatory, automatically it will show inside. If you have unique identifier, if you have not specified that column to auto increment, then you will get the error that cannot update identity column cust ID, because we are executing the stored procedure with cust ID updation. So it will automatically give the error. So if that column is identity, then you have to specify the auto increment. Then name, I just want to display it and mandatory. Date of birth, I want to display and mandatory. Then account balance, I am seeing that it will be displayed on screen. I am not doing it mandatory. It is a good to have. Then go to the active. Should not be displayed on the screen and mandatory, but it is a soft delete column. So it will pass, CodeVouch will pass automatic values to that. So active is 1. So value when the record is deleted, so it should be 0, because if the record value is 1, then it is active, and the record value is 0, then it is deactivated. So value when deleted is 0 for the active column. Just check once again that you have specified the correct parameters, and go for code generation. So just hit the generate button. You'll see the progress, that what are the layers generated automatically. So it has generated the code and it has opened the folder. I have already opened the project. So go to the project, reload all, make sure that you just rerun it using Ctrl F5 if you are using Visual Studio. So let's see, API is generated and the layer is generated. Now you can see that one menu will be there under masters, that is a customer. So it is automatically generated. The screen is automatically generated under the masters menu because we have selected it. Here are 0 customers yet. Name, date of birth that we wanted to show, we have given it in settings. Now let us see the name of the customer. If I am giving greater than 10 characters, it will not be accepting because we already specified in the table definition that this is the varchar 10. So it will not allow greater than 10. So we have the validations label in the front end jQuery UI itself. So we will not be able to input the more than 10 characters. Then date of birth was mandatory, we have selected, so we have to select any of the date there. So I'm selecting birth date, let's say $26 1983, account balance, let's say 0, or you can put 1 lakh. Okay, it's not mandatory, still we can have. So customer information saved successfully. The record is already created in the database and it is shown here. You can edit it anyways. If you want to change a balance, let's say 2 lakhs rupees, then it will be updated. So this is a simple UI UX automatically generated. Let's say another example, another record with test entry, so that we can have a delete operation to be tested. So select the record and go for deletion. So delete it. Are you sure you want to delete the record? Yes. So the record will be deleted, but this record is not deleted permanently. This is only flagged off because we have specified that active column should be 0 is record when deleted. So it has CodeVouch has automatically given the value to the same, and it is automatically generated. The same values will be reflected in the database. So it's very simple. Just in one click you have the UI UX. Again we will see the example of dependency screen also. So we'll create one more screen. Let's say, pardon if I'm creating when random table, so it's not part of pre-design or something like that. So let's say I'm creating a sales, and then sales table have transaction ID. That will be a primary key and identity, so it will auto increment. Then we should have the cust ID, the referential identity key should be there. You specify it as referential or not, that CodeVouch doesn't matter. CodeVouch uses the configuration that you have given. So I'm taking it as cust ID int, then product, let's say any product. We're not taking product ID because I'm not creating another table as product in this video. We'll take it as plain text product. Then okay, so cust ID product, and we can say what else, purchase cost. We can say how much cost the customer has purchased. Then we'll go for the next column, that will be a purchase date. We can say new column. Okay, so that's it. We'll create the sales table, and we will execute it in the database. Okay, so now just go to the CodeVouch and see that sales table is there. You just connect or refresh button, press that button so that you can have that sales. So test.dpo.sales table is already created and referred here. So I'm again doing a column configuration for transaction ID. It was a unique identifier. Cust ID should be mandatory, but cust ID should refer the customer table. So this is the key point. You have to see it carefully. The data text field will be the name, so it will be a front end name showing of the customer, and the data value will be assigned to a cust ID column will be a cust ID. Then the product, purchase cost and date will be the same, all will be the mandatory. I'm generating the screen, so it's generating all the layers. You can see it is generating in a click of a button. It will not take much time for generating a single entity. You just rebuild it and execute the .NET solution. So now you can see the transactions, sales has come, and you can select any customer. So I am the only customer, Chardatta. It's only the customer. Let's say I have a product, mobile phone or anything that you can have. I have purchased mobile phone 8,000 rupees, let's say today only. save this entry. The entry is saved again, and the customer name is automatically mapped through a drop down that is a referential identity that we have provided through a code vouch. Let's add another customer. Let's have a birth date to be added. Then let's have the account balance. Okay, then we'll save it. Again, it is saved. Now in the sales, I'll have the two customers. So I can map the sales again. It will automatically take the records from the customer table and it will show you in the referential identity. Okay, so now let's go to the report generation, reports and dashboards. We don't have any stored procedure here. So for CodeVouch to generate a report and a dashboard, you should have that particular stored procedure in report schema or a dashboard schema. So while generating a report, you should take care that you should create a schema reports. If you don't have the schema created, just create a schema reports in your database, and in that report schema, you just create a procedure that create procedure reports dot, let's say for sales, we'll check get sales, or let's say sales report. Okay, so sales report will have a query. It will be select star from let's say sales, and then we'll take the customers too, and then a join. So inner join customers, on should be inner join customer C on s.cust id is equal to c.cust id. Okay, and let's say we'll choose the column naming conventions because there might be duplicate columns here. It's not a problem, but still we will have a neat and clean SP. So I'll take c.customer from customer master, and then s.customer, s.product, s.purchase cost, that is sales.purchase cost, and sale.purchase date. We'll have this single query and we'll create this sort of procedure. I think my syntax is little wrong, so bracket should be a parameters. You just have to give the as syntax for a select query. So let's say we'll have the report as and we'll create it. Okay, so this is a simple procedure I have created without any parameters. So the procedure has created. Now if we refresh it, you'll see that the procedure in the report schema has appeared and it's having a 4 columns output. So let's generate a report. It will automatically take the report schema because it will generate the report in the reports menu itself. So again reload all and execute it using Ctrl F5. Again open the UI part. Now in report, sales report is there. So again we have the 4 columns output. So purchase date is a default structure that is given by the grid. You can anyways change here using convert function, like convert it to varchar 105 or let's say 105. Okay, convert it and we'll take it as purchase date. Okay, so we'll alter this procedure, altered it. Now let's say refresh it. This is now a DDMMYY. If you want it in DDMMYY, just give it 106. Alter it. I'm showing it for your convenience that you can change it anyhow. You just have to refresh it. You don't have to regenerate the code for it. But if you're specifying the parameters again for particular SP, then you have to regenerate the screen. So let's say I have a from date and a to date for this report. So I'm creating the parameters. Let's say from date, this is by default null I'm taking because I don't want that it will give the error while generating the code, because you have to specify then parameters, their default parameters. So from two dates I have given, let's say where s.purchase date between @from and @to. Okay, so purchase date should be between the same. So these are the filters we have applied and those are the inputs. Let's alter the procedure. Now this will purchase date will be the input. So if we refresh, because we have changed the parameters, no data will appear because we are passing null as by default. So again get the columns and generate the report for parameter passing. So the parameters will be passed from the front end itself now. So parameter UI will be automatically generated. Don't forget, after generation, just rebuild the project and execute again. Okay, now you can see the sales report. You have one record of 2 days, and from date and to date automatically populated as a date control there. So let's test that the data is filtered on the basis of date or not. You say 1 March. So refreshed, it is not coming, but let's say 29th or say anything. So my record is coming. So it is filtered again. So this is the magic. The CodeVouch generates automatically all the parameters of your stored procedures. Let's say add a product also as a parameter. So it will be var 50 or anything you can give it. I'm taking it for demo. You should have already built a stored procedures that you just have to take care in report schema. So as dot product like %% I'll take, because if it is blank then it should be a record displayed there. So percentage and like query fired. Let's say again generate a report. If you're changing the parameters, you should have to generate a new thing, because all should be reflected in the code and UI framework. So let's rebuild it and then again run it. Okay, now the product is a text as an input. So if you have mobile, just refresh it, the record will be displayed. But if it is like some other text like laptop or lap, it will not display. So it is filtering it. Okay, same it works for export too. So this is the magic of reports automatically generated. Only the dashboard is remaining now. So for a dashboard, we use a static structure for a dashboard. So I'll show you one of the examples of the dashboards, a simple example. So go to the reference SQL database scripts folder that is already present with this package. So go to the dashboards.jQuery procedure that we have created. Just select it to a end of that procedure, copy it into another section or new SQL query. Use your database. This is not the database, so you will use test. Then we will execute that dashboard procedure. So, but you don't have these tables. That was the reference database that we have given. So just remove it for your reference. We will be generating the detailed video for this dashboard generation will be on the way. So this is only a glance of how to generate a dashboard. So these all parameters you need to configure dynamically from your database, but I'm currently not having those parameters, so I'm currently not generating it. Let's generate only 4 cards. Rest other bar chart and all those things we will generate later. So we'll generate only 4 cards. In the cards, you just replace this count in a data when to the actual number. Let's say 100, 200, 300 and 400. Okay, so you are ready with 4 cards to be shown on the dashboard. So how will it look like, that I'll show you. So just create the procedure. Okay, so you just have to type go and then create it. Okay, so the procedure is created now. Let's say refresh it, and then this is the test.dashboards.jQuery is my procedure. It will automatically picking up the schema of that particular table or a procedure. So we'll hit get columns and generate report. I'm generating a simple dashboard with a 4 cards. So let's reload it. Just run that thing. So if now you see the 4 cards are generated in the dashboard jQuery. So these are the values that we have given: 100, 200, 300 and 400, right? So these are the values. So you have all dashboards, masters, transactions and reports ready. So in the dashboard, if you want to check that it is the live data or not, you just replace one data 100 to 1200. Okay, so just have to alter it, not recreate it. So now refresh. Now the categories are 1200. So it is a live data, and this is the magic of new CodeVouch with the column configurations and auto parameter generation in SPs using .NET. Make sure that you should select the correct product. All the parameters will have the intact like we have seen in the video. UI path, code path and all the entities, all the tables and the column properties should be properly defined. We will be demonstrating the errors also in the separate video. Till that, we'll have the new options like tabs and columns also. So I'll show you that in detail when we will be doing a detailed video on the CodeVouch new features. So it's already there in previous videos. If you can generate it, try to generate it. We can happy that you will dynamically generate it the same. Then the next video will be launching it for Node.js API. So stay tuned for that video and enjoy using CodeVouch. So thank you very much guys.